Hello, everyone. I am here. I am starting. I do not want to start too late, so I am here joining you guys today. Coaches joining and beyond will join as well to all discuss this topic. Let's get into it. This is, I guess, Uncle Dennis is not Uncle Phil. This is Coach. Let's just get right into it. Um, you know, I don't want to do too much repeating because, of course, coach, as you know, we only have a limited amount of time remaining before the ninth hits, and boy, oh boy, am I glad I saved it for this topic. How are you doing today, really quickly?
I'm doing pretty good, and this was quite a sports story that hit the airwaves last week. Some of it's shocking, some of it, quite honestly, is not.
Yeah, it's one of those things where with the NBA, it's just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
They do that sometimes.
They do that. So, I think that the best way to go through it is in somewhat of an orderly fashion. I actually wanted to originally discuss the WNBA. We will probably not get to that for this episode. That's okay. Instead, we're going to really focus on this. I want to cover, a bit of what happened, but I also think it's important to go back in time, both in terms of Kawhi and his kind of saga and maybe the Clipper scandals that they have had over it. This is now the fourth scandal that the Clippers will have throughout the Kawhi era or tenure. As well as going back a little bit about the Joe Smith thing. I did read some of the CBA directly. I have it pulled up on screen, the exact section. And things are going to be very spicy for this week when there is a board of governors meeting where all of the NBA owners talk. And boy, oh boy, this will be the talk of the town.
It will be, no doubt. It's like you said, the Clippers over the last 10 or so years, they've been in a scandal every 4 or 5 years. They end up in a scandal. And I
Yes.
mean, when you have allegations of circumventing the salary cap and big power players involved, I'm not just talking about like Kawhi Leonard, talking about agents and companies and executives. It's, I don't think it's a story anyone wants to be in.
So let's go back just a second while we're waiting for Beyond. I think it's good to kind of go through. So of course the Raptors won the championship. Um, they did their thing in 2019, and of course after they did their thing, free agency happens, and there is the infamous, and this is probably the first investigation that happened, was the 2019, the Uncle Dennis Robertson, which is Kawhi Leonard's uncle. There was basically his wish list inquiry. And so during that time, I've made some notes. During that time, again, Uncle Dennis basically asked for, as an agent acting on the principal being Kawhi, reportedly asked for things that were not normally permissible. In other words, part ownership, use of a private jet, and guaranteed off court endorsement deals. So yeah. And these requests at the time would have circumvented the cap, which is why he asked for a stake in the Leafs portion of MLSE and not the basketball portion. Any thoughts before I go on to the next scandal?
Well, it just goes to show how uninformed they were. Obviously, you can't ask. They're owned by the same team, so
Well,
they
they
probably
could split it apart. There are ways that they could do that. It just gets very complex, but they shouldn't be asking for it.
yeah, no, it was. I've mentioned to you guys certainly my feelings on this about that whole summer and some of these requests that were outrageous. I get it. Some star players get star treatment. I understand that, but they were really trying to push the boundaries on is what they can do and what they can't do. And some of these requests were just absurd.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
you probably remember one of the trade rumors that they wanted. at the time.
Yeah, and for me, I'm not even going into the trade rumor stuff, but yes, the trade rumor on top of I guess it was like already you're asking for a lot with the trades, but then on top of that, you're also acting like a diva on this side, and it seems like a lot of this is directed by Uncle Dennis. Which is part of the problem. We'll get to that aspect later in terms of like, you have to be careful of who you're letting in your inner circle and who you're letting run the show. But yeah, the second one was just 1 year later, where the NBA kind of did a look back, because I don't know if you remember like Lawrence Frank kind of creeping around, all the time and stuff like that. Um, that was directed by someone, and that is not normal. Beyond is here, so we're gonna get him in. But yeah, so Beyond, just so you know, I'm going through all of the scandals uh, timelines in terms of the Kawhi saga for the Clippers. We're at 2022 now. Uh, so we're going step by step. Can you hear me, Beyond, by the way? Okay, awesome. So yeah, in basically it was the NBA had another investigation into them, into the recruitment of Kawhi through Johnny Wilkes slash Jerry West, the late Jerry West, of course. And this included benefits like $100 million campaign, a house for his uncle, specifically for his uncle, not for Kawhi, but for his uncle. And these things. These were all denied at the time by Jerry West. Nothing came of it, but it was still a little footnote on the long saga that is this. Then 2024, there's another thing. We all know this type of stuff, but there was some sort of a lawsuit with his trainer, or a trainer of that presumably dealt with Kawhi and the Clippers, where this trainer was tampering or improperly handling health records that would normally be Clippers property. So it's a bloody mess. But essentially, he was dismissed for raising concerns over how the team was handling Kawhi's health. We, sound familiar. And then again, the team countered that he had already been paid through the end of his contract, and the other claims they kind of just denied. So yeah, and then of course, we have the latest, which was originally a $28 million, but it's now potentially $48 million with the additional $20 million stock option that would have vested over time throughout the duration of his Clippers tenure. Peon, your thoughts on everything that I've said so far before we get into the scandal itself?
Well, I mean, what did they say in the Godfather movies? Follow the money.
Yes. Now, shout out to Pablo Torres. He did a phenomenal job. I haven't had the chance of listening through all of his stuff, but he did the full Monty, the full meal deal. He went through, he investigated, he found a lot of these public documents, which we're going to go through in just a second. Not in for each of them. He also even got people anonymously, through the voice changers and stuff, to give their thoughts. So there was a lot there, and I think he did a really good job of compiling all this information out there before going forward with it. So these are just a couple things. For example, Kawhi re-signed with the Clippers in 2021. In January, he signed his stuff. In November of that year, there was an LLC. And this is how and I am not condoning shady behavior, but usually you would put it would be a shell company of a shell company of a shell company, right? This is why you pay the big boys to do your dirty laundry for you. But instead it was KL2 Aspire LLC, right? So, hey, OG. So, you have that sort of thing, and that was registered in the same year, November 2022. Of that year. Like it's like already it's like okay, and that's one of when you look at the filings of the company Aspiration, which was this tree planting company that is involved. which asked Kawhi to send a monthly photo throughout the year for his compensation, of which he did not do that. He couldn't even bother to do the bare minimum pose. Yeah, it's just
What a
crazy.
shock.
Just AI generated. I don't understand it. Literally, go chat GPT. Hey, this is me. Here's a headshot. Click, click. Right? Send it over. I mean, and that's all. He could have even, if he wanted to really, work for the money, he could have done the Robert Downey Jr. thing. He could have pulled a Doug Ford and pull out a plastic shovel, but it'd be a plastic axe. Pretend to cut the tree. Okay, right? All right, go home. That's it. If he did that, it would have been better. He did nothing. So, anyways, the the contract gave that was signed by Kawhi gave him the broad veto power over activities. In other words, he could say no to doing anything. Whoever is typing, sorry, just
That was me. I was changing my name.
Yeah. Basically, he could say no if it wasn't consistent with his beliefs. Tree Man got paid. This is true. This is how they got the boards.
Not the board man, the tree man.
Yeah, Tree Man makes boards. Yeah. So, in other words, if he didn't feel like the tree planting was consistent with his own damn beliefs, then he could say, well, no, I'm not going to go to no events, not going to do nothing. Is that, yeah, don't feel like this tree is the tree for me. Okay, there were also priority payments, which we saw, which Pablo Torres originally saw with his investigative journalism. Sorry, I'm talking for a long time. I'll be almost done, guys. $7 million a year was prioritized, with Uncle Dennis calling to ensure the payments. So he's also the fixer. He is is it Conan? Is that Trump's guy or Comey?
Yeah, Cohen.
Cohen?
Yeah, Michael Cohen. He's the fixer.
Okay, Michael Cohen. This is Michael Cohen. Uncle Dennis equal Michael Cohen.
Oh my gosh.
All right, and Michael Cohen done goof too.
Well, he did go to jail for a bit.
He
so.
didn't.
Yeah, he did go and take some
he
time.
He did
actually,
for a bit.
I'm thinking about it. He did. So
he did.
I'd say knock on wood, but the tree ate. Jeez.
Don't fake checks and lie to Congress.
Yes, and of course this was known, according to employees, that this was specifically done in this manner to circumvent the cap. Okay, there was a sweetener idea, internal emails, which framed that it was Ballmer's money going to Aspiration, which is now defunct and gone. And one of the co-founders of him, I think it was Joey, I believe, when I saw the reporting, has just pled guilty to wire fraud.
Well, I'm about to get that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's, it's chummy, in LA, just to say it simply. Okay. Thoughts before I go any further.
Go
ahead, Beyond. You go ahead, Beyond. You just got here.
I'll just put the broad strokes. I don't know if people realize how serious these allegations are. I think people find this as just as a crazy kind of quirky, funny story type of thing, and not realizing when you start peeling back the onion how perilous this could be for certain individuals. We're dealing with bankruptcy, wire fraud, all sorts of other types of fraud. Perhaps maybe mail fraud might be involved in this when it's all said and done. There's laws in this case of pretending to be a charity is also another one that's involved. I think in this case here, when you kind of pretend to be that, then we haven't got to the NBA stuff yet of how that's going to impact in this case how things look when it comes to trying to circumvent the cap.
Do you want to deal with the NBA stuff first, and then we could just talk about the other stuff?
Well, I think that's what I think would be fair to the folks listening and that will watch this. I think they want to hear this first. Like, how does this impact the team, and how does this impact the league?
Okay.
And, yeah.
Do you want to talk about Joe Smith first, or do you want me? Because I have the CBA up.
Hey, man.
Right here.
You told me yesterday, man, I want to put all that homework you did to good use. So go ahead, sir.
Okay. So as per the CBA, there are two sections under Article 13, which is called circumvention. There's section 1, which is general prohibitions, which is basically, if I summarize it, I'm not going to read every single aspect of this document, but if I summarize it, it's basically like a generalized thing that you cannot, they can't basically promise you stuff under the table. Okay. You and that sort of thing. There are ways that teams can hook you up with sponsorships and whatnot, but you can't, like, you can't have a team or a guy sign less than, like, say, the max with the express purpose of getting paid some other way, which, by the way, Kawhi did take less than a full max. So that is part of the thing. Section 2 is no unauthorized agreements. So there are penalties that are involved with both things. And Kevin gets into the fact that they were scammed. There might be scamming all around. Hashtag scamming, right? I'm not. We will get into the Ballmer side of things. I would not. I think that it's a lot of stupidity, which is how you get scammed. But that's on you. That's on all of them. And that, but that also doesn't mean that they're not greasy all the way around. Now, here's where things get interesting. I gotta zoom forward, right? Because you can, like, passively invest, and there's certain percentages that they say and all this type of stuff. They lay it out for you. However, the important thing, the key thing here, right, before we even get into arbitration and all that type of stuff, is under the next part. It's called, under section 2. It's part D. A violation of 2A or 2B may be proven by direct or circumstantial evidence. So, in other words, direct evidence is you murder someone, you get caught on camera, and you turn around, it's like, right? You see the person's face. Okay. Circumstantial evidence is like, okay, there's an alibi. It's like, why are you vigorously washing your hands, sir? Right? This type of thing. You go Google, how do I get rid of a body? That's circumstantial evidence. What they're saying here is, per the NBA's rules, is they are allowing for either direct or circumstantial evidence. And it says, including but not limited to evidence that a player contract or any term or provision cannot be rationally explained in the absence of the conduct violation. So the fact that he couldn't even show up for the tree planting, something doesn't pass the air test, we'll say. Okay.
Trees, air.
All right. You guys go for it.
Go ahead, Coach, on this one. I'm curious to hear what you have to say about this.
It's hard for me to comment because you guys are more into, like, maybe the CBA and how it works. Is it okay if I take a little 2019 approach to this for a second?
Go for it.
Go down memory lane. I love to hear this.
So we win a championship. Kawhi, in many circles, is known as the best player in the world at that point for what he did. Fair enough. Get nothing against that. We go into negotiations for free agency. With the Raptors, he wanted basically Russell Westbrook and Paul George on this team, and Fred and Pascal basically would have had to go for that to happen, and probably more, make the money work. Which doesn't make sense because those guys are both under the age of 25 at the time and just had won a title with you, right? That doesn't make sense. Fine. And then Uncle Dennis asks for, as Kenny mentioned earlier, about part ownership in the Toronto Maple Leafs, but they weren't realized at the time that Rogers or MLSE owned both the teams at the time. They own the Raptors, they own that, and they respectfully said, no, you're not going to get ownership in this. Then they went to the Lakers, okay, the Los Angeles Lakers, and it was reported that Uncle Dennis asked for part ownership of the team, a private plane that would be available at all times, a host, and a guaranteed amount of off-court endorsement money. Now, that's quoted. Not only did the Lakers say no, but that was not allowed under the CBA. Why I'm saying this right now, again, these are all allegations. but where there's smoke, there's some fire to this. This is not just there's more to it than this is false information, blah blah blah. If these things have happened 4 or 5 years ago, like Beyond said, follow the money. This is about money at the end of the day and trying to get as much as you can. And it's greasy, quite honestly. I'll be simplistic about it. I find it really greasy.
Now, I think it's important to go, again, we will get into the Joe Smith of it all at some point, but I think it's important to talk about penalties because this came up and said the NBA was too soft and stuff like that. They just hired the law firm, the same law firm that litigated the Joe Smith stuff and investigated the Joe Smith stuff. So I think that the NBA is taking this very seriously. There's a board of governors meeting this week, and because all the other owners are involved, I'm not saying that he's going to lose the team. He's not going to lose the team. I can tell you that. They will, you know, on one hand, they want him as an owner, but on the other hand, you have to remember that they recently put certain things in the CBA to penalize teams that are spending too much. Right? So for that reason, this is another way that they want to clap down on this. So I do not think that it's just going to be a walk in the park. The Joe Smith thing, by the way, resulted in 5 first-round picks. Now, in terms of the penalties here, right? If you only violate just the general, you know, prohibition, whatever, essentially it's just it's a first-round draft pick. But if you're violating the second one, and the circumstantial evidence is very interesting, because what do they define as circumstantial evidence? It's not just a fine on the team, okay? And I'm going to get to the Kawhi aspect in a second. It says draft picks, plural. This is not the same as tampering. I think people confuse tampering and saying, oh, I just talked to the free agent. That's very different than what this is. Beyond your thoughts.
Well, I see one of the comments that came up on here about, you know, NBA too soft, which I got.
Yeah, that's what I was just addressing.
Yeah, I know you're addressing that, but I'm coming from a different angle. Sometimes, you know, people forget and have like very short-term memories in this world we live in, social media.
Jonte Porter just got like a lifetime ban.
Right, exactly. But I'm going to go back just from ownership history. What was Adam Silver's first ownership thing that he had to deal with?
Donald Sterling.
Bingo.
And the Suns guy as well.
I'll get to him in a second. Donald Sterling. Right? Yeah. Now, the big bad Mr. Stern that everyone's like to talk about was pulling this joke along for like 25, 30 years, knowing full well all the nonsense we saw and heard about.
Yeah.
Silver's the one that got rid of it in about 6 months. It was a wrap. This is for the softness of Adam Silver. You now just hinted at the other one. Another joker has been around for 20 some odd years. Also was on Stern as well too at some point. You know, and Mr. Sarver in this case here, guess what happened to him? He had to get out of the paint too. Adios. Now, do I think in this case Steve Ballmer is in this case going to go that length in this case here? No. What I am going to say is there are certain things where you can easily see where Adam Silver's like, yo, the line is here and we go no further. Right? The betting stuff seems to be one, and this type of stuff seems to be another.
He's very much about the integrity of the game.
That's exactly it.
And he should be in that position.
Of course, every good commissioner is about that. It's like, yo, we ain't doing this. So this idea like, oh, someone's getting soft and we just get a pat. No, folks. And this is what I was getting at my first point. And I'm glad that comment came up. People think there's just going to be some little thing. It's like, no, there's not some little thing. I always say, and you see it, and you know, I'm not saying you should get into it, but be it in politics or in sports or any sort of area of expertise or area of interest. Don't watch what they say, watch what they do. Okay?
Yep. So that's very good advice.
Steve Ballmer has been all over any TV screen he can find right now. He might show up on this podcast before the night's done. He's everywhere, right? He's everywhere.
That'd be some views for us.
Right.
Man, I
got
scammed.
A man of that wealth and that kind of power and got a lot of things to do. Why is he all over everyone's TV screen the last 72 hours? Why? Because he wants to make sure he's tamping up the fire as much as possible that's about him. You know? Now, You notice when he's having these interviews, he ain't talking about his player. Yeah, this is now every man for themselves at this point, right? So he ain't talking about his player.
No. This is like I ain't gonna be the fall guy. This is
exactly.
It's like I don't know about this dude. I don't know about his uncle, but I ain't gonna be the fall guy.
I ain't gonna right. This is how everyone's saving the CYA theory of things. So, folks, when you see people like Steve Ballmer responding like that, it tells you how serious the situation is. Do not think this is a light thing.
So, just for reference, in the Joe Smith case, again, we haven't gotten into it. That had 5 first-round picks, and it was a $3.5 million fine, and Kevin McHale got suspended. In general, there is a potential now $7.5 million fine. That's whatever. Forfeiture of draft picks, which, by the way, they recently did get picks. They have some of their own picks after 2029, so that their entire future could be screwed. And of course, the suspension of any officials involved. Now, if Jerry West was involved, too bad. And so, to your point, I think this sounds greasy as hell, but if you're gonna go all the way, you might as well. I would, dig up the man, get the thing, and get his signature like Weekend at Bernie's to sign as many contracts as possible to save everyone else. That's what they probably. I just have a feeling that that's what they're gonna do. I know you don't agree, but I think so.
Oh no. I don't think they'll necessarily have to go there, but don't get me wrong. I put it past none of these dudes when it comes to protecting their ass. They would do anything. We've seen enough over the last 10 years to say we see that. So
you see a flop in the head, just
there's things that we've seen the last 10, 12 years that I think when I was growing up, I was like, nah, we'll never see that. Come on now. So no, that wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah.
It wouldn't. But going back to the Joe Smith situation, the fallout from that, and I'm not sure how much you can get into it, but like Kevin McHale was the general manager at the time. Yep. He got suspended. And pretty much lost his job because after that, he didn't have much credibility after that.
He became a coach for the Rockets.
Yeah, for the Rockets.
That was never a GM. I don't think he became a GM again.
That's my point. There's a demotion in this case. He never was again. So you got to look at these things from the full broad scope of it. It's like, so-and-so, they end up getting that work. It's not the same type of work, man. Right? When Marv Albert had that scandal and all sorts of stuff, Marv didn't go to jail for nothing in this case here. But Marv never worked on network TV ever again.
Couldn't Kawhi have just gotten a cardboard cutout or something?
I can get him in a second, but coaches. By the way, Glenn Taylor also got suspended. By the way, the owner of the time.
Yeah. Well, I'm just curious for our audience too. I'm not even as familiar with the Joe Smith story. What is it about?
Okay, so I pulled it up. I pulled it up. So basically, I'll tell a quick thing, and then Beyond will expand on it because he's more well versed with this. But basically, 99, 2000, those are the years. They signed Joe Smith, who was for a 1-year contract, well below market value, and
this is Minnesota.
This is Minnesota.
Yeah. Minnesota.
And it made everyone go, huh? And it came out, there was a paper trail, and it showed that, this is why, Kawhi's getting cheated in some ways. So the other guy's right. He did get, aspiration. I didn't land on aspirations. Aspiration, landed on us.
No, you didn't go there.
Right? So it's, and so the Wolves promised Joe Smith 3 future contracts worth up to $86 million at the time. Which with inflation and all that, it was a lot of scratch basically, and he actually had to play, a full 82 game season or at least attempt to. And so, with that being said, this goes back to what I was saying. Like, you can't promise people down the road money, and the deal was considered illegal, and it was basically this is the funniest thing. It was discovered when Joe Smith's agent's office was searched during a separate legal dispute, and the hidden contracts were discovered, which, by the way, here's the interesting thing. I didn't know this. Because of the tampering rules, which were put in place because of the Lawrence Frank and because of Kawhi, actually, funny enough, they now have a rule in the NBA that they can search up to 5 front offices go in, grab their computers like the FBI, scrub all this stuff, and get all the information that they want, and then book it if they want at any time. Adam Silver has the power to do that. Thanks, Kawhi.
Thanks, Lawrence Frank and Kawhi. Lawrence Frank had all those front row seats, man, at the Raptor games in 2019.
Well, there's an interesting name that we haven't discussed yet.
Yeah, I mentioned him. I mentioned him earlier.
Mentioned him? Okay, yeah.
I said that he was a stalker.
Yeah, because he's the dude. I'm surprised that how is it, put it this way, how is it you're having negotiations with your star player, and yet we're talking about the owner, and we're talking the star player, and we're talking the star player's agent, but who usually is the one that negotiates those contracts?
I mean, it sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? Does he have a Bobby?
I'm just asking. Well, in that sense, it would have been Tannenbaum, right? Because let's face it, we know in this case, Uncle Dennis went to him, said, "Yo, give me 15 mil."
You know who it was? It was Jerry West.
Jerry West, of course. Right. Not Lawrence Frank. Everyone's shaggy right now, boy.
Well, it's okay because they built the Oklahoma City Thunder potential dynasty. So
they did. Yeah. They also have the All-Star game this year.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. I said before, boy.
That away from them.
Yeah, you remember what is it, Crypto Center, whatever the hell they call it now? I just remember.
Actually, fun fact. It was that dome, the Intuit Dome, was originally specifically supposed to be called the Aspiration Dome.
Oh wow! Oh wow! That would.
I did some digging.
Yeah, that would be. They talk about some egg like these. But the thing with Minnesota, the part with Minnesota people don't realize is that there's a reason why Minnesota in this case here. One of the reasons why Minnesota had so much ineptitude for so long was partially to do the bad drafting.
Yeah,
you know, when you draft 3 guards in a row and one of them's not Steph Curry, yeah, that's a problem. But like that's one of it. But the other reason why they were in the position they were in is that they had like a decade of pretty much out in the tundra. They didn't have anywhere to go. Well, all the draft picks and everything else, the penalties, you know, that Minnesota's out in no man's land in this case. So I must admit, someone needs to do that's a documentary someone needs to do about the Minnesota Timberwolves. Because you look at that franchise, man, they make the Raptors look functional all the time. Like, I mean, the Minnesota is something else, man. When you go through the story, some of them very tragic, and some of them very interesting in different ways, man, like this story. But yeah, so I think that people here look around and see like, yo, like this here is like this is serious business for the Clippers. And considering to your point, you don't want having a big beach whale sitting there with a stadium that has no stars in it. You know, and then the other part goes into it is this, it's one of those things where it's like,
because to your point, if Kawhi, say, I don't know how fast these investigations are done, but say Kawhi gets a suspension this year.
Well, I mean, I think right now they're in a lot worse position than they were last year because now you're kind of wishing you didn't make that Norman Powell trade, probably.
Yeah.
That's like
starring John Collins.
John Collins and Brooke Lopez. Come on down.
Ruh-roh. Yeah, ruh-roh. Like, so like these things, I mean, these things can move fast, and for a player already who has so many injury problems, he might have 1, maybe 2 years left in it already. And if I tell you right now, he look at it from his perspective. Even if there's not a legal issue, which I'm not sure there's not, that's a whole nother discussion because Uncle Dennis right now, you know, I don't know, man. Uncle Dennis right now, he might be feeling some fire. All right, that's what I got to say about that. Of all the characters in this little story, he's the one right now. He better have his I's dotted and his T's crossed because right now he's in the crosshairs at the moment.
Yes.
I just wonder, is Uncle Dennis a variation of Uncle Ruckus? Like, is he just doing way too many jobs here? You know, you know what I mean? Is he the accountant and the thing and and the driver?
This is the part I think that I think it's been kind of like not played up enough. I'm not sure. I've heard some of Pablo's stuff, but I think Pablo Torre's stuff. But I think this is the part that people aren't really discussing enough.
This is the most interesting part for me.
Yeah, what type of operation are they running over there, man? Like seriously, I mean. It seems like it's just like made by duct tape and string holding this thing together. Like, there's no. It's funny. it's a true paradox, I guess is the right term for it. For a guy in this case that on the court has it so together, maximizes every little piece of energy he does and wherever he does in every movement. When it comes off the court, it seems like it's just always like a hellscape. Like there's no control of anything. It's like he's got this uncle running wild, doing whatever the hell he wants, and he's like, okay, shrug shoulder. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where like his uncle is just like, yeah, don't worry, I got it. Don't even, don't worry about it. And like, but that's not because it's your uncle. No offense, but I last time I checked, Dennis Robinson or Robertson or whatever, he is not a licensed accountant or like a licensed.
Oh, he's not his agent either, technically.
No, but I think this speaks to a bigger item that I'm speaking about when it comes to Kawhi, right? And I think the reason why his career is what it is due to a lot of what we're seeing now come out in this. Kawhi's only concern really is like between those 90 feet and those 48 minutes. Yeah. And I think
you're saying that he doesn't take there's no agency.
Hold on.
Like self-agency.
No, there's no self-agency. There's no autonomy on what he's doing outside of that. So when it comes to getting ready for his injuries and preparing for that, I'll just get around to it when I get around to it. Right? So you wonder why in this case, pretty much we traded him for you got him for a couple of no disrespect to DeRozan, but compared to what he should get, that deal pretty much was like a on sale deal. Because San Antonio's sitting there going like, oh no, we're not going through 10 years of this. Oh no, we ain't doing this.
Well, there's in what you just said, there's a Luka element, but we will leave that for another day.
Well, the thing too is it's Kawhi. When the Spurs traded him, he missed out on the Supermax with them, and then he missed out on another max deal with us to go to the Clippers. And it's like, you know what? I feel like I got gypped some money here.
Right. Well, that's a great point, Coach. Because in this case here, because of your bad, stewardship of your own career, be it if he's your agent, your uncle agent, wherever he is, look how much money you lost out on because of that. To your point.
Well, that was what Kenyon said the Luka situation. Well, Luka missed it on the Supermax with Dallas. Now he's got one with the Lakers, but it's not nearly what it would have been.
But I agree with that. But I was more talking about a different aspect of the situation, in the sense that like sometimes people don't realize until it's later why a guy got traded for that amount or whatever. Sometimes it's bad. It's just bad management. So it's not every single time. But for a guy that's like a top 5 player and stuff like that, and my thing to Beyond's point, he talked a little bit about the injury stuff. I mean, one of the scandals that I outlined earlier, if you guys remember, was the some dude on the Clippers who's associated with Kawhi who's basically mismanaging. Like basically, there's like, well, he'll rehab on company time when he feels like doing it on company time.
Right, which is the Shaq philosophy, right? Like.
Yeah.
When you and that's fine if you want to do that, but
but there has to be some sort of transparency.
Scottie Pippen did the same thing too.
Yeah, exactly.
But you don't hide your medical records from the team that's trying to help you in paying for the rehab.
But where Pippen and him are very similar is Pippen lost out a ton of money.
That's true.
Once again, just not trusting folks and thinking I got my little inner circle. It's like, dude, man, you got to kind of realize that this is the big boys game. Right?
Sometimes you got to get a true professional, whether it be an agent or whether it be otherwise. I'm not saying that some of these people can't be shady, but sometimes it's worth it to, spend the time, take a step back and get your house in order, literally.
He doesn't even need an agent. He just needs a really good lawyer that deals with negotiations contracts.
That too.
Literally, he doesn't even have to deal with the agent. If he wants to keep the money for himself, just get a damn good lawyer.
But they don't even want to do that.
No, that's what I'm saying, right? And I think, I mean, I don't want to get into like, I'm not going to here. I ain't putting anyone on the couch, but there's something. I think let's put it this way: for a top player, I can't see this happening to any other top player besides this top player because of his personality. No other top player can see this scenario playing out like this.
I just find it very odd. If these allegations are true, but him asking for ownership in the Lakers, us, still odd but fine. But with the Lakers, with the Buss family, you're gonna ask for ownership from them? I think only Magic got some of that, and that was signed back in like the late '80s or something like that. I could be wrong, but maybe he didn't get some part ownership in his deal,
something like that, and then he extended his contract where he was getting like $1 million for like next like 12.
Yeah, but like Shaq or Kobe never got anything like that. So why would Kawhi Leonard get that?
When Kawhi Leonard was doing that, if I recall, who was on the team at the time?
No, LeBron was there.
Yeah, that's my point.
Yeah. LeBron and AD was there.
LeBron was on the team. Right? This is what I'm talking about when people don't do their due diligence. And this, this is the part Kenyon mentioned earlier on, where these guys are just running around like chickens with their heads cut off and not serious people. They're not serious people.
That was the summer they traded Ingram and Kuzma for AD, and then the free agency came up, and like we're going for Kawhi too. We're going to get Anthony Davis and Kawhi on this team, and then allegedly, can I have some part ownership in this team? I like Jeannie Buss must have fell off her chair. Like, what?
This is the classic example when people have been smelling whatever they smell and they think their stuff don't stink, and it's like, dude, you're not the next coming of Michael Jordan. You're not LeBron James, dude. You're a fantastic player. You're gonna be a Hall of Famer, but you ain't on that level to even be asking for that.
You know who really messed up here? Paul George. Because the Lakers were looking for him too at one point.
Well. I mean, Paul George's career is a fascinating one of making some bad decisions. I'm hanging out at a party with Russell Westbrook and I'm going to go to Oklahoma City. Like, what the hell? Really? That's what we're doing?
Hey, man, it was a good party. What can I say, right?
So Paul George is a whole documentary by himself in this case here. But like we mentioned it yesterday, we're talking offline. There's certain coded things when Paul George was talking about when he left the Clippers. He said, hey, guys weren't looking to take care of me. Now, what does take care mean? Take care means.
Well, who knows?
Who knows, right?
But I just got the podcast deal.
Right. But who knows? But maybe, all these guys talk. Everyone knows.
I would have planted some trees. I'm just saying, I would have at least set the photo.
All these fellas in the locker room know kind of some way what's going on here. It's like saying, like, you got to deal with that. Like, seriously? And Paul George, like, saying, like, I can't get a hookup somewhere for something. And to your point, I would actually plant the trees. Like, what the hell? Like, what's going on?
And then on the flip side, Uncle Dennis pulled a Denzel and said, I'm leaving here with something.
Yeah. And hey, and you know what? Just so for you guys on the chat in this case here to say, hey, I'm a equal opportunist in this case here. Whatever the case may be, props to Messiah because it was the right call.
Yes.
So there you go. See? Don't say your boy Beyond want to be hating on Messiah. Look at that.
No, I said this the other day. Like, the one thing people could say our ownership. I guess there's levels of cheap, but like, I don't think that's like. I don't think our ownership is involved with that type of thing. Not because yes, we do certain things like a parking spot or whatever. But to be honest, with that, we haggle over the parking spot.
We did.
No, but we were willing. We were willing to run it back. Paid Kawhi's max deal, whatever that he was going to get at that time. Bring back Danny Green. We were willing to run it back because that's what it's about. It's winning championships, as Messiah said. And you can only take that so far when you're like, can we have part ownership? Can we have this? Can we have that? Can we trade Pascal? Can we trade Fred? Can we get Westbrook and Paul George?
Well, it ties actually back to the Vince thing if you think about it, because it's like that's the type of thing where it's like if you're gonna get petty over a damn parking space, like I get it that ownership probably should have done it, but it's like, dude, really? Like this is the thing that like you're not a serious person in your craft.
No,
you might be good. You might be real good, but you're not a serious person.
No.
That's all I gotta say. No.
That's not keeping the main thing the main thing.
No, it's not. I don't know. I'm waiting to see how this all plays out. I think obviously the next pin to drop is
this is funny.
The board of governors meeting.
See that?
That's an interesting comment, though.
Well,
I think he's making a point.
Yeah. I think we're. To be fair, I think that I think to Rosemary's point, I think that's the world we're living in more and more, right? Like there used to be almost like a little respect. You always have unwritten rules in every type of industry. No one gives a damn about unwritten rules now.
No.
And if you have it in black and white, they might not give a damn about it. So I don't think that should be taken kind of like, I think we should take it a little more seriously because you're right. It is what's going on in all sorts of realms of life right now. Let's put it that way. Where it's like, well, what's a law? What's a rule? Does it mean anything anymore?
Well, it's the age old, like I say, like it's like the raptor in Jurassic Park where they tested the fence.
Yes.
Clever girl.
Right. Yeah.
And it doesn't test the fence in the same place. So it's just like,
I just, going back to Kawhi for a second, just how we've got here. And this all started with the Spurs when Tony Parker, I think he tore his quad. And then he made the comment about Kawhi saying, well, I tore my quad. That's a lot worse than what Kawhi has. And then Kawhi gets obviously upset over that. And then eventually Kawhi is out the door. He's not playing very many games with the Spurs last season and a half. And then with us, it kind of rebuilds that value. But we still have him on where load management comes in. And I think the perception of Kawhi, and this is dating back a while, is, we all know that he's great, but the optics do not look good when you only play about 50 games a year and you're getting paid all this money and you don't kind of maybe rep the NBA similar to LeBron. Now, everybody's different personality. I get that. He's a quiet guy. He's reserved. That's cool. But just this other scandal now, that Kawhi was paid so much not to attend and get paid for it, is carrying over to his NBA career right now. And it's not a good look, quite honestly.
There's an element of this too, where if you go back, I'll maybe people will like laugh at me for saying this, but I don't care. If you were smart and you really know how to involve yourself with marketing, if he stayed here, he probably would have made that and more. And that's the honest truth, because he would have had, like, if you put on a shoe, every person in this damn city would have bought the damn shoe. Okay, there's no question. People would have named their babies after the dude if he re-signed. Like that's the type of thing where it's like, yeah, you could have made the money back with the money that you thought that you did. You could have bought your own private jet, but instead you're looking for the shortcut, the fast track, even though you're already making $40-something million a year. Less tax, but I mean, if you have a good accountant, which I don't know if he has a good accountant, but if you have a good accountant, there's ways around that too.
Well, I'm gonna wrap up my last point here. At least this is my last point. I think this is where I'm gonna lay this here. It's funny. They spun this whole idea. Oh, Kawhi just wanted to go home. It had nothing to do with home. It is who's gonna give him the most money and the most power. Well, that's what it's down to.
I wonder that though, because his sister at the time was going to jail for like a shooting or something like that.
Well, that it wasn't what their concern was. It was them concerned about getting their 45 or 48 million.
Oh, and
going asking the bus in this case, can you give me a piece of your company, your ownership group, and going asking Larry Tannenbaum, well, you know what, you got me back, you can give me 15 more million a year.
That's true.
It was nothing to do with the sister or I want to go back to sunny California. It had nothing to do with that. I think if Utah told him in this case, they'll give him 60 million by a run out there. All of a sudden, my man's out there just chilling there. My friends out there in Salt Lake City, like whoever had whoever had the most money, it really had nothing to do with home. It really had nothing to do with basketball. Quite honest with you.
I mean, actually, to your point, yeah, you do make a point, because it's like even the sister that I was talking about. This is all reported, of course. It was, like you think it's like, oh, okay, to your point, maybe there's something about this tree planting so that he can make sure that there's money on the commissary or something. Ain't even doing that.
No,
Dennis
needs
to get a house.
Yeah, house. Yeah, getting new homes and getting new endorsement deals. That had nothing to do with that.
Nah.
This take is probably not going to be very popular, I'm going to say. I remember Stephen A. Smith said, but when Kevin Durant joined the Golden State Warriors, called him the weakest superstar move ever, that kind of thing. Like you go and join a super team to the team that you just lost to in the conference finals.
Yeah.
I get his point, but I'm just trying to relate to the Kawhi situation.
Okay.
Kawhi left after winning a title to go to another team. Just from a basketball perspective, I'm taking all the family and stuff out of it. From a basketball perspective, I think that's the weakest move. No one in NBA history, because I looked it up online, who was like the best player on the team, finals MVP, left that team to go play on another team. They tried to, come back, win it again. LeBron did it with Miami. They lost in 2014, and then he left. Durant did it, but they lost to us when he left. There's a difference. So just from a pure basketball, like competitive nature standpoint, I'm not talking about anything else. I just found that very weak. How if he was with us or anybody else to go and win a title and say, I'm out, I'm good, see ya.
Yeah.
I just find that really weak. And Jordan was right in his Netflix documentary. He said, we win. We should earn, I think organization earns the right to bring us all back to see if we can repeat until we get knocked off. This was the complete opposite. It was the player who said, no, I'm good, I'm out.
Yes. Now, there's one other thing that I want to talk about, if you guys are willing to give me like 5 minutes, because I think we've talked this part to death. And I wanted to talk a little bit about just a quick WNBA update. It's not the update that I thought I was going to give, but I'll just toss it out there, see if Beyond nibbles on it, and if not, we'll get the heck out of here. Okay, so it was that the state of Connecticut has submitted a proposal. I don't know if you heard about this, Beyond.
No, this is new. Whatever you're saying.
So they submitted a proposal that would buy a minority stake in the Connecticut Sun.
Well, the governor said that they'll do whatever it takes. And I guess this is what he's saying in this case here, that he'll do whatever it takes.
The proposal would also include a state financing a new facility in Hartford, which would be leased by the team.
I mean, there's certain versions of this. The Packers are technically kind of like a funded by the municipality in this case. So this is
Winnipeg Blue Bombers as well.
That's true. Another thing. So this is not something new from the standpoint of a structure.
No.
I will say this though, it does get dicey, and I don't know if the WNBA really wants to go down this path of having some type of government official be involved in one of their teams, because that makes things very awkward for all sorts of things, for such as like new stadiums, a new stadium, new this, new that. Because now it's coming out of the taxpayer. So I don't know if you want to get down that road, and you
actually might want to, because it might end up being better from it. I'll put it this way: it depends on how they do it. So if they do it, because sometimes it's like you do it in a way where it's given back to the people, like it's like a pension fund type of thing, right?
No, I hear you, yeah, but I guess what I'm looking from the WNBA's perspective is that I think they've been short-sighted about this the whole time. Like, if you're growing the league and the league is growing, you got to think big picture. In the long run, do I want a team in Connecticut or do I want a team in Boston? Like, I don't think that's a hard answer in this case to figure that out.
Can you have both?
Well, when that has happened in the past, it doesn't survive. Ask my friend over here in the side here with you how that worked on the NHL.
Well, that's why they want to keep it in Hartford,
right? When the WHL came over, I think Hartford was from that league. Mm-hmm. They said, "All right, come on over, Hartford," and then you end up having like 10,000 people, some dark stadium over there. Was it Civic? I can't remember what there. I think Hartford Coliseum. Horrible place to play in this case here, man.
That's actually where they play some of the games, actually.
Yeah,
so
now
they split time between that and their new.
At least they put some money into the lighting, because the lighting used to be brutal. If the Celtics had to play an odd game there, or in this case here, when the Whalers used to play there, it always look dark and dingy. It's like, what the hell's going on here? You're watching a Hartford game, and who knows if you can even find the people in the stands. But after a while, it didn't work out. Even Gordy at 50 something couldn't save them. Okay, it wasn't enough to save them. So no, it doesn't work.
So you're okay with it just going and leaving?
I think the best play was, suck it up, Buttercup, and let the Boston guys take the team.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
That was the best play. Now, this year, at the moment, might be an okay play, but in my mind, I think you're cutting your nose to spite your face, because now
this is just a proposal. It's just a proposal.
True, because I think I know what's going to play out there. Well, this is going to be interesting because ultimately
it's up to the major.
Well, Yeah, it's about the ownership groups and stuff because they say they want to try expansion. Well, now it's staying in Connecticut. So what's the answer now?
Well, I'm just saying that, like, in terms of the sale, that is in large part on the other team, I forget. It's the tribe that owns. It's like an indigenous tribe that owns it, so it's really up to them.
Yeah, they want out if they're willing to sell it at a decent offer and stuff like that. You know, they can still make a lot of money. They bought it for like $10 million. They're gonna make a ton of money. Mm-hmm. So, like, you know, it's like fine. They're not getting the 350, the 400 they're looking for. It might end up being 320 because I think that's what the proposal was for them, around 3 something. Hey, you know what? We good with that still too. We just won out. So, like, in my mind, the tribe could care less about who's selling it, who's buying it. They're like, can we want a good bidder and they give us a good fair price for it? So be it. I want to know.
That's exactly what it seems like.
I want to see what Kathy Engelbert's going to say and all the buddies out there in the ownership groups because they wanted to tie the expansion. Why they didn't want to move to Boston? They stepped in front of the line. Well, now it's in Connecticut. So what's your answer now? There should be no reason to stop them from getting this team.
Right. There's other news. It's more sad news, so I just won't mention it. But I will say shout out to the Reed family because I think, if I'm not mistaken, Naz Reed lost a sister.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Very tragic.
Don't mean to end on those sad notes, but I did want to.
I will say something very happy on this front. In this case, basketball related. Shouts out to Syracuse's own, in this case here, Carmelo Anthony, for being enshrined.
That is true.
Yes.
So, Melo always kind of a fan favorite. So yeah.
And Dwight Howard too, you know.
Dwight Howard as well too.
He was, you know, arguably the best big man from about, be 2005 to like 11 or 12. Maybe you can make an argument in the league when he was those years in Orlando. He was, you know, he was really, really dominant.
And I'm glad you mentioned that with Dwight because people kind of clowning Dwight as if he's like some type of scrub. And I don't think a lot of people did not watch him play or do have a clue about basketball. And Dwight Howard was always going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like, it didn't matter how many teams he played for afterwards. You know, how goofy he might ended up being. He was always going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. So, shouts out to him and all the other enshrined.
I mean, he did end up as a champion as well. But just to say the accolades here, and then we'll put a stamp on it.
And Maya Moore, I think that is the perfect type of ending since this has been a Minnesota-related podcast.
Absolutely. We'll go to Maya Moore. So, Dwight Howard, champion, 8-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA first team. He was All-NBA second team once, 2-time third team, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, 4-time All-Defensive first team, a second All-Defense as well, Rookie of the Year. Not Rookie of the Year. All rookie team, 5-time rebounding leader, 2-time blocks leader. He won the, I'm not going to go through the other stuff, but he also went through and was an NBA dunk contest champion with the Superman cape and all that kind of stuff. He did some things, and I believe he also has a medal for the Olympic team as well.
Who won? He didn't win rookie. Oh, Emeka Okafor won it that year in 2005. Interesting. Yeah, I forgot all about him. I mean, he was big time in college. I think he had a year or two. It was pretty good in Charlotte. But kudos to Orlando, who drafted Dwight Howard #1 out of high school, who just said, no, he's the guy. They were right.
So going back to Minnesota, you were going to talk about Maya Moore. Take it away.
No, I mean, it's funny enough. I'm just saying I find her story absolutely incredible. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know they had some type of pseudo documentaries about it, but I think you put her like, when you talk about Mount Rushmore, like she's on it. I don't know who else is on there with her, but she's on it. And for her to end her career actually when it was still pretty young, and the way she went about it for a bigger and bigger cause than herself, I find that, man, admirable, man. For someone to be that talented in a particular specialty and to kind of say, you know what, there's something bigger than that and bigger than me, and I'm going to go about this. So, hey, man, my shouts out to you and what you've done and what you represented, and especially in these times, man, is sorely underappreciated, I think, by a lot of people. And, I don't want to be beating on Minnesota basketball too much, so I think we put enough licks on them today between Joe Smith, Kevin McHale, good old Golden Gopher,
Glenn Taylor.
Glenn Taylor.
Yeah.
So let's show Maya Moore for that dynasty of the dynasty of the Lynx in this case here, and putting the Lynx in.
Four-time NBA champion, WNBA champion, Finals MVP, WNBA MVP, 6-time All-Star, 3-time All-Star MVP, 5-time All NBA, All WNBA first team, 2-time second team, 2-time All Defense, steals leader, scoring leader, Rookie of the Year. I mean, the list goes on and on.
I think she did like 8 seasons. I think.
Yeah, I'd have to sit down, but it looks like it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And shout out to friend of the show, Gannon Baker, who was one of her trainers.
Yeah,
two. That is true. I did actually hear that actually. So shout out to him, and 2-time Olympic team as well. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To kind of go full circle, let's just answer this one question. Gets 28 million. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is the thing, right? I know people are saying Ballmer got scammed. I don't know. It's possible he got scammed. It's possible he didn't get scammed. We about to find out. We will cover it here on Basketball Rewind either way. Like, comment, and subscribe, people, because we're about to get out of here. But that always helps. It's always floating on the bottom of the screen, and it helps us, helps the algorithm, helps you to get more content like this. So yeah, hopefully that was a solid addition. We have a lower level of viewership today, but that is expected because it's kind of the off season. We will get back to talking about Scotty. I heard someone call Hakeem Olajuwon a low basketball IQ person. So that was interesting. But we'll get into all that the next time on Basketball Rewind. So yeah, take care and peace.